Okay, so greetings everybody. I want to warmly welcome you to our video call here, which is called Meet the True New Mother Mary, the power priestess we've never seen and what she offers you now. Whether you are watching us live as this is being recorded or at another time, I just want to warmly welcome you for taking the time to be part of what I'm considering to be a new ripple in the creation, or part of a ripple that has been continued or has been started by a few people, but which is continuing now. And this is the unveiling of a Mary that few people have seen in the past 200 plus years. So in this call, I'm going to talk a little bit about the diminishing of Mary that's taken place over the centuries since she lived. I will offer some of what I believe is the real information about her that I've uncovered. And I will also share my remarkable personal recent story of documented physical healing with her. I'm going to talk a little bit about the course that I'm offering, the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings as well. And at the end of this call, I'm going to give you a tool to help you connect more strongly with Mother Mary for your own healing and well-being right now. So as we're beginning, what I'm inviting everybody to do is just close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And really feel yourself physically get here. Again, whether you're watching live or in the recording, really let yourself disengage from any other tasks so that you can listen and be present. And I'm inviting us all now to collectively put this call out to Mother Mary, this prayer, saying hello to her and asking her to come to us in her full glory and to inspire us with information that's going to be coming through what I'm saying and through your own intuition that is really true and accurate about her and about how she can work with you in our lives today. So we welcome Mother Mary to be present with us. Okay, and now just inviting you to open your eyes. So I want to say a little bit about people's dearly held beliefs about Mary. I was recently at a gathering with women who have been brought up in the Catholic tradition, and I was speaking about some of my research on Mary, and I realized then just how evolutionary some of this information can be and how much it can impact people, sometimes in a startling way, because we all have our own idea of who Mary is. Some of us have a very close connection with her that has been mediated through Christianity. Some of us have an evolutionary view of her. Some of us have a resistance to her because of the views that we've seen. And some of us have a curiosity, but maybe not much of a relationship at all. So there are as many Marys as there are people, and that's really important. So I just want to make sure that people understand that whatever I'm going to say today is not meant to harm, hurt, or diminish what your sense of Mary is. If Mary is a really, as you know her, has been giving you strength and power, then great, go for it. Take whatever I'm going to say today that works for you and just leave the rest aside. This is not about a new form of proselytizing. This is about opening up and expanding possibilities. I'm going to be speaking from my research as an academic and from my personal experience with Mary. So first of all, why Mary now? I really believe that this is an evolutionary moment with her and that it's coming at a critical time for us. And as we are doing this recording, the world is going nuts about sickness, right? And one of Mary's powers was as healer. So we're going to just be looking at that in a moment. But I believe that these female masters, Magdalene, Mary, and many of the other sacred feminine figures that a lot of us have come to know, are stepping out from the shadows behind the veil. This is part of what the Mayans predicted of for 2020, that a veil was going to lift and that the way was going to open for a number of great female masters to come through. And what I feel is that Mary is saying, now, 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 dive, 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 because there are very intense forces influencing us right now. This is what my friend David Todd calls the evolutionary squeeze. There are many events going on in the outside world that seem at times horrific and very difficult. Ultimately, they are opportunities for us to go deeper and ascend or ascend into our, what I call, fifth dimensional consciousness. And I think Mary is there right now with us for this, to say, hey, I'm not exactly as I've been portrayed. I'm a little different. Take a look. Okay, because one of the biggest reasons why we're having this worldwide crisis, I believe, is because of the lack of feminine energy and the lack of feminine mentors and role models and values. And that has been changing in the past 20, 30 years, and in an accelerating way. With the Me Too movement, with people now have what patriarchy is. 20 years ago, when I created, all of my work and started stepping onto this road, nobody knew what patriarchy was except for some scholars. And so now, more people have a sense, and that this doesn't have to do with blaming men. This has to do with a social structure that is basically lacking the feminine, okay? So we're looking for female role models to assist us. And as one part of this new feminine wave, as you may be aware, Mary Magdalene has come out of the closet into the light in recent decades, right? Some of you know she's been revealed to be what? The apostle to the apostles, the one who actually bankrolled Jesus' ministry with her own finances. She was his favorite student and definitely his consort, a soulmate, and possibly even his wife. And she has been shown through repressed gospels and through legend that she had her own soul's ascension, which is why we're able to connect with her now on the other side. So a lot of us are turning to her as a role model. Now is the time for Mary. We've had to wait a little bit on Mary. Why? Because she is actually the supreme feminine image who incorporates everything from the most ascended human to the greatest goddess in herself. And we've had to let Mary Magdalene go first because she was a bit more accessible. She was the human woman. And now Mary has always been sort of seen as like a far off goddess, but now we're being able to understand who she really was as well, that she was a human woman who became a goddess, okay, through a very deep, intense mechanism. But what has she been shown to us previous to this? Basically, a passive victim to a pregnancy she had no agency in. She's been shown to us to be a sexless maiden, a demure female with either downcast eyes or heaven turned upward eyes, who never looks at us head on, rarely. She's portrayed visually in the paintings and in official doctrine as somebody who's far off, kind of a floating, unreal power we can never really grasp. And on top of it, an image of moral perfection that's unattainable for any human being. Tied in with that is what? The idea that she's ever virgin, which has been used as a model to control women's sexuality for many of us. And then what about Mary's history and life? This is mostly blank according to the official church document known as the New Testament. And as we know, there she all but disappears after the birth of Jesus. And we are told painfully little about that conception and birth process as well. So what's happened? Because of the way in which she has been portrayed, many people have rejected Mary, saying, I want no part of a female figure like this, and of religions that tell me I should be like that. And others of us have sort of embraced her but ultimately, in some senses, at a detriment to ourselves, because when we have a restricted female role model, we ourselves are restricted as to what we can do, where we can go, and who we can become. So this is about opening us up. We want to get past this, what to some people has been a damaging view of Mary. It's been damaging to our sense of will because she's so passive, we have to be passive. To our sexuality, because she's a virgin, we can't be sexual. To our ability to connect with the divine directly, okay? And to have our own inner knowing and spiritual power. Because what do we see with Mary? In doctrine, she's always second fiddle, right? The intercessor. In other words, the one who's like, honey, don't be so hard on the kids, instead of the one who's like either saying yes or no. She's the one portrayed as having to pray to God, who is a male God, mind you, only in this schema, on our behalf. But what does this mean? She's never quite allowed to be that divine power, at least not in the dogma that's come down to us. So mark this, Mary has been owned by a particular set of institutions. Her image has been controlled by patriarchy. This is only really starting to unfold for me in days leading up to this call. I have been stunned, just thinking, wow, yeah, she's been owned. She's been spun by the great media known as patriarchy. And what I want to say is Mary is not this cartoon character. As some of you know, I'm a scholar of the sacred feminine, and I am also an expert in the history of divine birth as a real practice of high-level holy women. Yes, the ability to bring through avatars through special means. And through these academic explorations and my own personal inner work, because really both of these go together, I have uncovered a Mother Mary who, like Magdalene, is really nothing like the pale, passive, and controlled image we've been fed. I have uncovered nothing less than a Mary who is a female powerhouse, one who I am proud to call my mentor. And that is something very hard won, because when I was growing up, I was ashamed of Mary. I was forced to have the confirmation name Mary. I was ashamed of it. And now I am proud. I am proud of what this means, because in the upcoming course that I'm going to be offering, you're going to find out what Mary's name, the name Mary, Mariam, in Hebrew, actually means, going back to its Egyptian. You're going to be stunned at what that name means and how it can be used as a mantra, okay, for yourself to bring peace and love to your life. And I also want to bring in here information from an unlikely source, a Hindu saint who is now crossed over named Sri Kaleshwar, whose writings and teachings are still available today. And in his lifetime, he searched out and he located hidden teachings from what is known as the palm leaf manuscripts of India. And these are well known. They contain knowledge and histories written down by sages, very high level spirit beings, literally on palm leaves. And they were then preserved and often secreted away. And Kaleshwar went on an Indiana Jones type journey to find these and to get the ones that were relevant to Mother Mary and Jesus. He also had past life recall of his association with the Holy Family, as many of you do who are on this call, and many others. I've had numerous conversations with people where it's like, I was there. Wow, I was there. Whether I was in the crowd at the crucifixion or whether I was closer in, I was there. So we're all remembering now. Now, Swami Sri Kaleshwar has revealed that Mother Mary was, in fact, one of the most advanced spiritual adepts ever to have walked the planet. And this is huge. This is huge. Why was she able to do this? And incidentally, this dovetails with the research that I did into her suppressed gospels, the infancy gospel of James, the gospel of Bartholomew, the gospel of Philip, and so forth. Why was Mary able to be one of the most advanced spiritual adepts? She wasn't just born like that. She earned this over many, many, many lifetimes. And here comes in a belief in reincarnation. And if people are questioning the belief in reincarnation, what does Jesus, was born, he's come again, right? That type of thing. He's coming again. That's a reincarnational schema, all right? So Mary lived many, many lifetimes on the planet. During these successive lifetimes, what happened? She was dedicated to spiritual practices that gave her high-level wisdom and advanced abilities, the same practices that are available and open to us. That is, I'm going to introduce this material in the course, the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings, that's starting very soon. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And I'm going to reveal this in successive courses about the Holy Womb Chakra that I'm going to be offering. This is critical information that we need, deserve, want. It is our birthright, and it's what has been veiled from us. Okay? This is open to men, women, people of all genders. And her abilities ultimately included the ability to conceive a child through special means. On top of that, it included the powers she cultivated eventually to ascend to the level of goddess herself. Okay, we're all talking about ascension, fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional consciousness. Mary's like out on 12, 24, whatever. She did it. She did it through many lifetimes, and many of us are in various places with this right now, but we're going to get a big boost with this through this information that's coming through, and of course, for those of us who want it. So let's just take a breath and take this in for a moment. Mary, as a woman who was one of the most powerful, enlightened, and masterful people ever to have walked the planet. I don't know about you, but when I learned of this, my world flipped right side up again. It made total sense to me. I was weeping. And what we're going to find out in my upcoming course, the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings, is that Mary was, guess what? Jesus' teacher. Not the other way around. She was Jesus' teacher, both while he was in her womb and after he was born. And we're going to find out why and how that was. And we're going to find out that she had a major, major role in his resurrection. I'm not going to say more about that now. You will have to join us for the course to find out. But it was an extremely critical one. And again, when I heard this information, I was weeping. It made complete sense to me. And it absolutely was the final critical piece I needed to restore Mary as the central actor in the Christ story, the central actor, the planner, the mastermind, the conductor of this, and then the one who carried things out in the aftermath along with Magdalene. Okay? She was a master. She was a master of the heart, of the womb, and the third eye. Okay? In other words, she was a high-level priestess of love, of reproductive magic, and of prophecy. And as some of you know, I have already offered a course called Mary, Priestess of Divine Birth, where I explain the research that I've done in ancient Greece and how I am then able to read into her gospel, the suppressed gospel called the Infancy Gospel of James, to show how, where, when, and why she was trained in this, with what results, and how she was part of a whole family of women that knew how to do this, okay? This is major stuff, folks, major, major stuff. And in this course, I'm going to be giving you that webinar as well. You're going to find out much more about how she accomplished all of that in her personal soul's growth, and then how she took it out into the world to help others, particularly women. Okay, I have uncovered that Mary was a special mentor to women, and she very much encouraged them to be spiritual teachers. So this role of Mary continues on until our present time. And I want to share just a piece of my walk with Mary to demonstrate another superpower of hers, which was and is to heal people. This is a very recent story, and it has to do, not surprisingly, with my own womb. In November 2018, I had a benign ovarian cyst removed on my left ovary. And as some of you who've been on my email list know, I wrote about that Mother Mary's presence flooded me in recovery, along with the presence of two grandparents who are now on the other side of the veil. I was filled with her presence and love, partly because I had asked a group of women to hold space and visualize Mother Mary holding me in a pink blanket of love. And there she was when I woke up. So I thought everything was all hunky-dory. Fast forward to fall of 2019. I'm starting to feel pressure in my lower pelvis again, twinges on my ovary. I'm like, uh-oh. Finally, December, I go and get an appointment with the nurse midwife. She palpates me and she's like, oh, you got a mass on your ovary. It's probably about 4 centimeters. You're going to probably have to get surgery and get that checked out. I'm in shock, stunned, because it's like mass on my ovary is different from people saying ovarian cyst, you know what I mean, that has water in it. 2 days later, I had the ultrasound and they couldn't get a really good image, but I have the documents here. Looked like it was 4 centimeters and a solid mass. And, you know, it said, this represents test value significant. This is, and I find out about this 2 days before, Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, I'm driving down to see my family and she's calling me to tell me these results and I'm totally freaked. And she's like, well, we want you to take a marker test for you know what. And I'm like, oh my God. So now all of Christmas, I'm having to deal with this. This is the near-death experience that I wrote about, some of you might be aware of, in my e-zine. 5 days of dwelling with uncertainty and looking down the pit like, oh my God, what is my reality going to be here? Because we hear so many people, maybe some of you have had the experience where it's not a happy outcome. Well, I came back in December 27th. What I will say is December 26th, I got busy. I decided to start reciting the Mula mantra. This is the main mantra of the Holy Womb Chakra system that Sri Kaleshwar revealed to the planet in recent years. And Mother Mary is part of that lineage, according to him, and I do believe that. And I was led to visualize Mother Mary's womb merging with mine. So every time I would do this mantra 108 times, I would visualize this, okay? I thought, oh my gosh, you know, please help me. And so on the 27th, the blood test came out fine. But then in mid-January, I had a session with my clairvoyant mentor, Patricia Anderson, and she was concerned. I mean, I've never heard her like this. It freaked me out. She's like, I can't get your pelvis to calm down. And she later told me that she thought I was going to have surgery and lose some of the organ. Anyway, I was deeply unnerved. And I kept going with the mantra and working with the visualization. And then February 9th, I put my name in with the Divine Lineage Center, which is Sri Kaleshwar's ashram in Laytonville, California, for healing of this ovarian mass. And I heard my name called. I was listening to the YouTube on it online. February 10th, I had a second ultrasound because they wanted to look at it again, get a better image, whatever. February 12th, I'm in my doctor's office. I'm basically meeting this man for the first time, and he seems bewildered. He's trying to grasp the case by asking me about the history. And he says, well, your ovary's fine. There's nothing on your ovary. And I just about imploded because at that point I had forgotten that I'd even asked for it to be removed. You know, I was just like, whatever. I was fully expecting that he was going to say, we have to talk about elective surgery down the road, ba-di-da-di-da-di-da, maybe it could be worse, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, do you want to palpate me? And he's like, yes. And he's palpating me with his big man hands. And it's just like, he can't feel anything. Whereas the nurse midwife had felt something solid in there. So he's like, let's just have you order an MRI just in case. And, you know, I tried to explain to him that I had been doing practices. It was like the Gary Larson, you know, the dog hears nothing, you know, it was kind of like that. So March 2nd, I went in for the MRI. If any of you have had the MRI, all right, I don't want to scare anybody, but it's like sounds from hell. I literally thought, wow, what is this? Magnets being used at 60,000 times the Earth's magnetic field. And I made it through. And then on March 5th, he called me, and that was my grandmother's 110th birthday. And confirmation, no mass found. No mass found. You can imagine my ultimate stunned feeling about this. You know, I thought, well, I'm going to do these mantras, I'm going to do this visualization, but you never know what road you're going to have to go down. So what am I realizing? Okay, I think I was set up by Mother Mary to manifest this situation, to really drive home the teaching that it's important for me to cultivate a greater living connection with her. And this happened through dynamic, decisive action directly with her. I didn't just pray to her. Note that I took an active role, not passive. And this is in contrast to how we're taught, which is, you know, to ask her, to petition Jesus for our healing. And we're just cutting out the middleman right here. You know, she and I work directly. And this also showed me just how much Mary is alive, well, and available for us today to help us become our own master healers. Now, since sharing this story, I've been hearing other people's stories of miracle healings associated with Mother Mary. Maybe you have one too. Maybe it is to come in your life or the life of your family. We're also looking now, as of the filming of this, the coronavirus, its own complicated thing. But I received corona is crown. It's the stars. This is Mary's starry crown. She's saying, why don't you call on me to help you boost your, merge with me, help you boost your immune system, and pray for this healing throughout the land, right? There are things we can do instead of getting into panic about this to get into healing. So deep breath here, just to sort of integrate some of this. Mary's ministry was about soul integration, the releasing of karma. Christians call this sin. It's not really sin. It's karma. It's the what goes around comes around. She was about helping us to release cycles of personal ignorance that are based in wounding, so that we can walk with ever greater integrity and develop our soul and come ever closer to becoming the true human, what they would call the anthropos in the ancient world, the true human being, the fully ascended or ascended human being. And her ministry was about accomplishing this through love. Love, which is the only question, the only answer, the only tool, and the only goal. So that's a pretty high-level teaching. When Mary left the planet in the lifetime in which we know her as Mary, I believe that was her final incarnation. She underwent a special ritual that allowed her to transform into goddess status. And that's one of the things we're going to be looking at in this course, the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings. What kind of ritual she went through. And this has rendered her to be available in her divine energy imprint to continue to be a teacher for us now. So this is human divine communication interaction. All right. For them, they have told me they don't want to be worshiped. They want to be modeled. They are just here to show us the way for what we can become. And so that's why in my new course, you're going to find out about your own capacities for loving, for seeing truth in a way you may not have before, and for being a healing presence in our world. I'm going to share with you a lot of this exciting research that I've uncovered through her repressed gospels about who she was, how she was a prophet, how she was a healer, how she was a teacher. What was she all about? The womb practices that she used, okay? The role in resurrection. And you yourself, we're going to be you're going to be receiving activations of peace and upliftment, love. We're going to have practices to get you in this habit over these 6 sessions, or essentially 3 months of the course, to get you in the practices of love and peace, and to raise your vibration, to get to deeper levels of healing for yourself, so that you can embody your own sense of divinity more and more and more. So you can expand your vision and become more empowered as a human being and as a spirit worker. So there's an informational and there's an experiential component. So we really warmly invite you to join us for this. So now for this tool that I'd like to leave you with. This is something I learned from Cindy Lindsay, who learned it from Sri Kaleshwar. What I invite you to do is find an image of Mother Mary that you resonate with, where you can see her eyes. Now, this may take a little sleuthing because, as I said, usually she's eyes down or eyes up. But, you know, for example, if you look under channeled image of Mother Mary, like on Pinterest, I found some interesting ones. But go on a treasure hunt. Now, the image could be a formal icon, or it could be stylized in some way, but it has to have her eyes. And you may feel more comfortable with her as White Mary, as Black Madonna, as Virgen de Guadalupe, or some other image of her, because Mary is rainbow. And this is one thing she's really emphasizing for me. She speaks to you and appears to you in the visual and auditory language that you're comfortable with, that you can identify with. All right? So what you want to do is find a Blessed Mother image with her eyes looking at you that speaks to you, or you may want to create your own. Okay? Then you light a candle in front of it, prop it up, light a candle in front of it, and you want to sit with her image for some time each day until you feel your heart open. You want to sit with that open heart, gazing into her eyes until you feel her love coming back to you. Gaze at her, to her eyes, feel your heart open, then feel her love coming back to you. This is going to be a very strengthening, awakening, and healing journey for you. I recommend doing it at least 21 days, if not 41, which is the usual diksha in the Hindu tradition, or the usual rule in the Hindu tradition. And if you join us for the course, the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings, we invite you to post your image on our special private Facebook group, where we're going to be sharing thoughts, ideas, and questions related to the course. Okay, big breath. I cannot believe that I made this in literally 35 minutes. We are at the literal minute. And I want to thank you, everybody, for joining us for this call, wherever you may be and whenever you are watching on into the future. We really hope to see you in the Mother Mary Mystery Teachings for this absolutely evolutionary material that's going to change your life and change our world. And it starts soon. We'd love to have you. And I wish you much peace and love. And I'm going to say bye for now.